Hello everyone and welcome back to Wargame Red Dragon. I have something a little bit different. This is a replay review requested by the captain, the Boominator, who plays a lot of USA, and against the captain, Terrail, who is a solid player. I've seen him on ranked a couple of times in the past couple of weeks, and because it is a replay review, the format will be a little bit different. The focus will be on less of a blow-by-blow, play-by-play sort of thing, more of a let's find out what went majorly wrong, why it went majorly wrong, and how to do it a little bit differently. And just off the bat, going for the 2-point push, I understand, especially as USA, where I think, sort of like Soviets, you like to stay sort of high and tight, is perfectly fine, but this is a big risk, and I'll tell you exactly why. You're playing as blue. It's possible your opponent is playing as blue or red. There are a lot of nations on both of those that have good optics, sometimes even good stealth, anti-air helicopters, and sending this over here will often get it killed. I've seen that many times, so yeah, you might be able to unload it this time, but just in terms of minimizing risk, if you're gonna go over here, I'd say do it on the ground if you're gonna do this a little bit, because a single Sokol kills you, a ninja kills you, a tiger hat kills you, a Ka-52, and you might say, okay, well, I'm not very close to them. That's really, it's a false sense of security. The ninja gets to about here, and it spots you. And then it drifts over this way, and you're dead. Because it's going to be able to see as well that there's no ASF in the air, that there's no secondary helicopter or anything like that that it needs to worry about. It's also going to see, well, it's USA, so you have the DAPS, and that's about it. So other than that, okay. Just talking larger strategy here, and let's pause before we get really into the first combat. Here's something I really don't like, and maybe you can make it work, and maybe it's worked before. And I won't spend the whole episode just railing on you this hard, but if you look at plunging, there's 2+2 zones, there's 2+1 zones. Generally speaking, if you have one, your opponent has one, you have your own two, they have their own two, this is a stalemate. But it feels a bit like a throw to see no opener into one of the sides and a very light opener into the other, which this is. Yeah, I mean, there's a chaparral here at 70 points, and there are wheeled infantry here, but lots of people will get here first with helicopter drops, especially from your side of the field as a common opener, but from the other side as a common opener as well, because of the prevalence of that sort of opener from blue, because red can defend Foxtrot relatively easily, but if they lose this part of Bravo, then they're gonna get locked out of it at a +1 tick. But even if you get into Delta and countercap it, that gives you a +2, which then is immediately lost from Foxtrot and Bravo being held by red. And maybe not entirely, but when all you have is a chaparral back here, it's very much a big risk. So, okay, we see Merkava 2A, we see Bardelas. Pretty safe to assume that this is Israel. It could be blue, but I haven't seen any other units than Israeli units so far, so I'd assume Israeli. Delta Force as well. I get that in USA the infantry selection is not exactly amazing. We'll have to see how they do. So, alright, here we get into the meat of it, and this is an issue. The Magach 7C Gimel, frankly, outclasses the M1 Abrams. If you look at Y, 17 front, 17 AP, 10 RPM, 15 front, 13 AP, 9 RPM, and really the difference there is the AP power. These guys will punch so much harder than the M1 Abrams, it's insane. And another thing too is actually the order of this. If your US Marines are here, your riflemen are here, your M1 Abrams and CS is behind, then you clear out these Rovait, no problem at all, and your tanks are better protected. Because if we look at what's about to happen, your infantry don't have the fire support that they need because the Abrams are out of position, and that is going to cost you a little bit, especially when the 163 CSs go up to engage a Gimel. It's like, there's really not a lot of reason to do that. And these guys are way too expensive to lose. And yeah, I mean, now we have the issue. Okay, this didn't work. Foxtrot is gone. And first buy is a plane. Yeah, it got a kill. Yeah, it got out. That Nighthawk is still more expensive than the Magach 7C Gimel. and you're gonna feel that at about the 5-minute mark. So, oh my goodness, this really did go very wrong very quickly, didn't it? Yeah, too much there. Merkava 2A will force that back. I've seen a lot of people, if they do go with this, they bring something like Highlanders. Sorry, Highlanders 90. Oh, that's NORAD, though. With just USA, I'm actually not sure what I'd even bring for that. There's not a lot of great tools for holding that town early, other than just dominating it with a helo drop and a longbow, which is entirely possible. You take a DAP and a longbow, the longbow spots and kills things, the DAP protects against other helicopters, and then you secure it a little bit better, and you'll see that red 4 column coming a long way away at that point, and might even get things like a kill on the Merkava 2A. It can be very nice. Once you know it's Israel, you know that they don't have the best anti-helicopter, anti-air that's fast anyway. There's nothing really you have to worry about that's on wheels for this sort of thing. It's just not in there. And another thing too, the second I know it's oh, nice plane kill. Double chaparral will do that. The second I know that it is Israel, I'm gonna stop buying M1 Abrams, because the Merkava 2A is a counter to the M1 Abrams. At least that's my opinion on it. It's not that much crazily more expensive, but it does just dominate the M1 Abrams in the woods. So, okay, trading's gone poorly. How do we recover this? I'd say pushing the Rangers here, excellent. But there's no reason not to have them in there from the beginning. So this is retaking a little bit of a zone that you already sort of expect to have. The Chaparrals probably should have pulled back. Yeah, they got a plane kill. But most players, especially beyond Captain, will know that that trade went really well for them. And they'll know that getting into the 2-point is a win condition. And as soon as they do that, Rovite are going to be pushing right through the woods into this section of town. And yeah, maybe he didn't advance because he lost the Gimel. That is also possible. But he also doesn't really need to advance right now. 88 points to 0, that's a win. So, especially when he's looking at this, and you know, he's ticking +1. He has the ability to tick in Bravo. This could be really rough really quickly. Okay, as far as things are going well, clearly that plane kill is going very well. Here's the US Marines now being cautious. This is great. Yeah, a more cautious approach I think would have been very beneficial, and when you're going to do this sort of opener, you're USA. Bring a big-ass tank. It's what we do well. So, instead of double M1, bring something like an HC, bring something like an M1A2, and if you need a little bit less infantry to deal with that, or, I mean, if this was a triple Chaparral opener, that's a lot of points. That's 210 points. 20%, actually 21% of your opener was in slow, tracked anti-air. And I think that really was a bit of a problem. Yeah. So, Sea Eagle and the Nighthawk, 2 planes. As a percentage of your overall income, that's about 3/4. Overall points on the ground, including the opener, that's about, sorry, not 3/4, 1/3. It's about 1/6. Yeah, that's very good. That's very good. Good, 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 good. Push those boxes up. M2 Brownings add up. And the Shiatet were not being well microed, so they had their tertiary on. Good, good, good. Very nice. Okay, now I see MR290 is rough. Another thing you can do, just so you're aware, is you can try and spread that push into this little crescent. And from there, you can reinforce into a much wider area. It's a little bit tough against Israel because they do woods grind very well. But that's a possibility for you. Also, okay, we know there's anti-air right here. If you have a paladin. See, actually, that's something. Instead of the Nighthawk... Oh, okay, I guess... No, the Nighthawk did get a kill. It seems to me that the ASF might have been overkill. And instead of that, if you had a paladin, this would be a really nice place for a paladin. You start pounding in here, right before you push in, you clear it out. And then you can counterfire stuff like this, like that mortar. Immediate paladin. And it'll add up over time. The paladin is decent enough that it will get that job done. It'll take a little bit of time, but it will get it done. And, okay, this is a nice little fortress area. Okay, rough 190 there. Okay. Nighthawk, Sea Eagle. Yeah, even, I mean, Blind Nighthawk is not a great idea. Okay, that's what you're looking for. Okay, makes sense. Makes sense, makes sense. Okay. As far as CVs go, Command Abrams, not a bad call here. You can't do the sort of zoning that you usually do. Nice pullback. Here's actually a great example, and your opponent's actually doing it really well. You saw that infantry, made contact, pulled back, mortars come in. He's forcing you back. He's going to keep probing there, and then immediate mortars. Mortar him back. Every single time. Mortars win woods fights. They straight up win fights in the woods. It's insane. If you have one player who's using a lot of mortars and one player who's not for their woods, the guy with mortars is going to win, even if there's fewer points there on the front line, because it'll kill directly and indirectly so much stuff. So much stuff. Okay. It's tough for me to say things right now because I think you scared your opponent with the Nighthawks, which is a good thing. This game does have a large psychological component as well to it. Raven. Too many planes, my man. Too many planes. Even if they get a little bit of value, it's just too many planes. Plus for this particular thing, let the Raven trail. So if you're going to call in all three, and I think it is too many planes, let that Nighthawk strike get a little bit closer, and the Raven come in behind it, because the Raven's very fast. But it also has very, very long range, so you can afford to be lagging a bit farther behind where you could with most. And then you pick up a kill or two, that gets replaced, that's points away from the front line. Gives you more of a chance to rally yourself and get into Delta. Okay. So you see this. You see that. The veterancy is really scary. I mean, it could just be Zelda boxes, but I don't think it's going to be. So at this point, these guys need to come in high and tight, and you probably need to drop something else off to try and sweep and clear. Not going to be enough on their own. Push the M1s up. Yeah, push them up, up. Excellent. Now we have that indirect fire. That's the Paladin. And, I mean, that's a lot of morale damage. It's a lot of stuns. It's a lot of suppression on everything here. Still need mortars. A couple of mortars. That's a lot of Dead Rovite. And also, if you know your opponent's using a lot of indirect, move. So once you take that engagement a little bit, just pull back a little bit, or even go forward. Drive those M1 Abrams forward. They can do this, is what they're meant for. And keep your US Marines alive. Definitely keep them alive. That's napalm. That's napalm. Okay. Okay. Yeah, I mean, it hurts to have sacrificial US Marines. Okay, 12, 15. I think, frankly, your M1 Abrams will take the Magog 6 not too horribly. Should have better accuracy as well. 65, yeah. Nice Nighthawk? No. Bad Nighthawk. Was that a right click? That can't have been a right click. That looks like a fire position. When you have stuff in the open like this, just right click. It would be really nice to pick up 110 points off double Magog 6. And that does make up for some of the US Marines losses as well, which I think were to fire a napalm, actually. Quite possibly. Okay, and here's the other brutal thing. At this point, you've bought 3 planes, you've bought 2 paladins, we have 1, 2 right here, and there's been a lot of bad trading on the front line. I want to look at red and see them right now. They're not as fleshed out as I would have thought. It seems this guy's a really pretty cautious player, which we can see from the Israel Mac. Yeah, Israel Mac's pretty rough to deal with. He probably could have had more stuff here if he'd wanted to. I think this guy was so concerned with covering all of his bases that he forgot to push. Which, if we look at the geometry here of the front, it should remind you of the one that I had where I was scanning back on this side, and you just sort of shunt it forward slowly over time, and it really does work. So at this point, pull that command Abrams back. The absolute last thing that you want to do is lose this, and it's better to have 160 points sitting back ready to recap something than it is to lose them. And at this point, with Magok 6s there, this is good. This is very good. Man, I really need to try US again. That longbow just looks ridiculous. It's like, oh, we forgot where it was. That's fine. Still get the 110 points worth of kills anyway. Why should your opponents have nice things after all? Yeah, retreat this out. Okay. Nimrod's tough to deal with. Do you bring Stinger teams in the M2A2s? Because that is another alternative to those chaparrals, particularly in the opener, where you'll still have the man pads up here. They're short range versus planes, yes, but so is the chaparral. At least you get high accuracy and a protective autocannon. Sorry if I was muffled just there. Yeah. Okay. Something already there, though. Bad winds. Yeah, I mean, I think it's a little bit of a painful answer here, but I think there's some things about the order in which you took those fights in the woods where you're exposing your assets to too much risk. And I don't just mean tanks with that. They're expensive, yes. But more than that, infantry as well. And this is the nice Raven pickup I mentioned before. That's good ordering that time. Nicely done. Oh, please don't tell me. Okay, that's fine. It's not great, but it could be worse. So the Nighthawk is about the only unit I've seen that's going very, very positive right now. I guess the longbow and Nighthawk both. Okay. Don't go up and engage. Oh no 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 no. Barkan. Hit. The second you see a manpads team, get away and hit it with mortars. Every single time. Paladin will take too long. Hit it with mortars. In fact, that's really, I think by this time you should have had at least two mortars up. Do me a favor. I know you're taking a little bit of a break from Wargame after a bit of a rough streak, which, trust me, I get. It does happen. I can sympathize and empathize with you there. I've done it myself. But when you are back in, try using mortars more. Planes less. You get indirect fire. It's not enough to punch through the walls of a tank, surely. So from that perspective, yeah, I mean, you do need heavier assets. But try and use more mortars. I think it'll help out. Because it looks like woods fights are a little bit tough for you right now. And that's one way to deal with it, is to get better mortar micro and make it so that you have to be in those woods disadvantageously for less time, because you take that engagement, you move on, you get into the open ground, and their USA uniform units run absolutely wild. Okay, good recap. Honestly, this worked out pretty well, better than I thought it would. If it were me, I would have also had special forces around the side, but doesn't look like this guy did, or at least not yet. Careful with that longbow, you're wasting hellfires. Doesn't sound like much until you're out. And here there's another appropriate place for it as well. So that Merkava 2A was spotted a couple of times. You're moving over to it now. Move over to it before. It's worth way more than that 5-point truck. And Merkava 2A. Doink. Yep, dead. Good. Okay. How much better would it be to be only behind by 70-80 points instead of 200? Because I think that's a big stressor for you right now, and part of why is you had to be so cagey with Foxtrot because you gave it up at the beginning. If I see that, by the way, it's not going to be just a you get back into it later. It's going to be, I'm going to have stuff all the way threaded through these woods here. I'm going to be attacking your spawn. I mean, hell, I might even take something motorized and just fast move it down here and see if you have base defense. Because you might, and I might lose 30-40 points. Or you might not, and I might just win the game right there because you surrender after seeing stuff in your base, which does happen from time to time. Yeah, it's hard to evaluate this at this point just because so far behind on points. My guess is you're going to be maybe 2,000 points or so behind. I mean, it's just absurd numbers. Absurd numbers. And yeah, Israel Mech is a pain in the, well, proverbial keister, shall we say. But you have the tools to deal with it. They're just not being put to the best use. Yeah, this Marine's dying. For example, why is this US Marines 90 instead of Rifleman? They're going in the open, you don't have this secured yet. Yeah, they might do a slightly better job, but they're going to spend their whole lives panicked anyway. And the additional health that you get is offset by the sheer cost of these things at 30 points, double the amount of cost of Rifleman 90, triple the amount of cost of Marines, sorry, Rifleman, base Rifleman. So it just seems a little bit rough. And you'll have moments like this as well. So, I mean, Red Fort's been tightened up on that side. You've got a lot moving in. Don't over... 10 minutes left, you need a +2. So I see where you're going for. That's the Command Abrams. Yeah, I think a moral of the story is buy a bigger tank for Delta. Because it will eventually make a difference. Oh man, I hate it when the longbow kills my ISO hit stuff. It's not fair that it should spot for itself, right? Oh, actually, oh jeez. Huh. It's a lot better than I thought it would be. Very nice engagement. Very, very nice. And the cave here. Oh, okay, that was beautiful. So, alright, your opponent's air force is maimed. Now is the time to push, but you don't really have the assets on the ground. Double hemped, by the way, a little risky. This is 80 points, most of a minute's worth of income. And it's all in one place. If it dies, you're going to be a very sad fellow. TM, of course, very sad fellow. Okay, good. Yeah, okay, so this is where the promise of it really comes in. And if you hadn't bought quite as much in the air, I think this could have been very nice. Also, I think one paladin's probably enough. If you're trading poorly. If you're trading well, buy a second one. And then snipe even more stuff. But trading poorly, what's happening over and over is there's just not enough stuff on the front line. And that means that you have downtime until you replace it where not a lot's going on. And downtime is the enemy of being behind in tick, which you are. So it's just a little bit rough. Also, go ahead and cap this. You're fending things off with the longbow anyway. Okay. Actually, I say that. Get these Delta Force over there as well. Smoke this, smoke off this main section, and get fire support in. This is where a really big tank can have payoff like you wouldn't believe, especially with a longbow to deny things. Goodness gracious, that's... what even is that? Well, seriously, what's firing napalm? Oh. You don't really see the R240 very often. It's a good effect, though. Seems that way, anyway. I mean, look at this. Yeah, jeez. Okay, that's fine. You need the +2 tick. That's alright. Yeah. I mean, especially with the A10 Thunderbolt buy something on the ground, and come back in and see if you can get this, because a couple months earlier that would have been game in your favor, and well deserved. And I see now, it's like with 2 minutes left, you have to do something drastic, right? So the Apache buy is nice. I appreciate that it's the first Apache you've bought, but I think it's just... yeah, I don't know. This was a rough one, man, and you know, we all have those rough games where it's a little unclear even how you should do it differently. But I think your opener really, if there's one thing you can take away from this, and again, when you're back from break, it's that your opener, I think, really was not very good. And that's coming from somebody who has a weak opener on this map, because I like to cover all my lanes, so I won't necessarily push somewhere. Even for that, there's a difference between not wanting to push someone right away, which actually you did even push, and giving away an entire zone for free. So 176 to 196. I think 1 or 2 more ticks you would have been inside of draw range. That is pretty rough. And you were up on kills. A lot of that's coming from the longbow, a lot of that's coming from your paladin, I would imagine. Let's actually see if I'm right here. Okay, that did decently. This was the ones that survived. Yeah, I mean, you make excellent use out of USA Unicorn units, you really do. And that takes some practice, it takes some effort. I mean, look at this, 110, 220-ish, maybe recover 2A, maybe 350, 375, maybe pushing even 400 points in kills in the longbow. That's where a lot of your advantage came from, but try and coordinate it better so that you take that delay. Man, that kill is. You take the delay early on when you're not sure of the engagement, and then 10 minutes later, you win the whole thing. Because you have a longbow, because you have adapt, because you have maybe an Apache, and because you have triple the amount of frontline that you currently do, and let them push into you. If they push into you and they overextend, that's going to be at least one dead tank to the longbow, so that's going to be a good thing, and probably a lot more. So, alright, well that's all I've got. I hope you did enjoy that replay review. I hope all of you guys are sticking around. Give it a like, share, subscribe, all that YouTuber nonsense, and Boominator, I do hope to see you again. It's been a pleasure playing some games with you, getting to watch you play some ranked, and yeah, I mean, Wargame giveth, but Wargame also taketh away, and quite often, and with a lot of actually, I like to say that every game of Wargame has a maximum of one person who enjoyed it. But sometimes that number is 0, because holy hell, everyone here enjoys a game that I have no idea why you enjoy. It is abysmal sometimes, and I get that. But it'd be nice to have you back playing USA, having some success, and really just going for it, because I think a couple of changes there, keeping some early assets alive and just delaying that push, would have been a very nice thing, especially if you kept control over both of the flanks. And if your intention is to push the 2, you don't need to push there. That's fine. Buy something light, buy something cheap, but buy something more than just nothing in there, then Rangers walking in later on. Alright, see you guys around real soon.